Does this story sound incredible? But it's true, and it's on aTech that you're going to discover it. So make yourself comfortable and immerse yourself in the world of piracy. First, let's take a look at what social engineering means to you. Indeed, that's what we'll be talking about throughout this video. What exactly is social engineering? In the field of IT, it often refers to manipulation. Hackers take people by the scruff of the neck with the sole aim of extorting confidential information from them. Nowadays, digitization is everywhere. As a result, hackers have much more room to maneuver. It is no longer necessary for the attacker to be physically present in the room in order to breach a system. For example, a simple email is all that's needed. Information is thus extracted maliciously, by gaining the user's trust. In recent years, this type of attack has been on the rise. The story of Kane Gamble proves this, and we're going to find out more about him right now. It all begins in a teenager's bedroom in Colville, a small town in central England. It's within the family home that Kane Gamble's adventures takes on its full meaning. Using the means at his disposal, the young man gains access to the personal accounts of several high-ranking US intelligence officials. Using the form of psychological manipulation we talked about at the beginning of this video, he manages to exploit the organizational weaknesses of his interlocutor. Do you think social engineering is the new problem of modern society that we really need to worry about? How could such an attack take place? That's the question we're all asking ourselves. That's why we're going to try to answer it. In June 2015, a group known as Crackers with Attitudes, or CWA, launched a series of computer attacks. These targeted senior US government officials, among them CIA Director John Brennan. This man is particularly in their sights. You're probably wondering what this shadowy group has to do with young Kane Gamble. Quite simply, he's the leader of this strange bunch. As such, he is considered to be the main protagonist in an extraordinary case. The group is said to have gained access to John Brennan's email and iCloud accounts, using his personal telephone number. Numerous other US government figures have also fallen victim to the young hackers. These include FBI Deputy Director Mark Giuliano and FBI Special Agent Amy Hess. Also mentioned is Homeland Security Secretary Avril Haines, as well as Senior Science and Technology Advisor John Holdren. Nicknamed Kraka by his peers, Kane Gamble runs the whole operation. To achieve his goals, he uses the phishing technique, more commonly known as phone phishing. His first operation targets John Brennan's personal Verizon account. If you're not familiar with Verizon, it's an American internet provider. Kane first pretended to be an employee of the company to obtain the information he wanted. The internet giant's hotline literally fell for it. Later, using the information obtained, he impersonated John Brennan himself. In the course of his research, he managed to create a particularly credible and detailed profile of the victim. Once he had access to this account, Kane Gamble didn't stop there. He used the same method to access the CIA director's mailbox, contact list, and online files. He even managed to remotely access and control the iPad of the CIA director's wife. On the strength of this initial success, the group continues to build on its momentum. Now it's the turn of the Secretary of Homeland Security, Jay Johnson, and the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper. All in all, the number of victims in this video continues to rise, don't you think? It would appear that CWA, under the control of Kane Gamble, has pulled off a major coup. In particular, he has access to voicemails and is able to control the phones of many of them. A few days after his 16th birthday, he fooled the FBI help desk. He posed as the agency's deputy director, Mark Giuliano. The aim was to gain access to an American intelligence database. He then used the information to harass the victims concerned. Jay Johnson was the victim. Kane Gamble quickly took control of one of the Secretary of Homeland Security's televisions. He displayed the message, "You're mine." Enough to make anyone tremble. What do you think? He also leaks massive amounts of personal information on the internet about these high-ranking American officials. Victims are bombarded with messages and calls. Files are downloaded onto their computers without their knowledge. Kane Gamble and his henchmen had only one thing in mind: to make life difficult for them, and they succeeded. What's more, in the course of the many usurpations carried out, the group gained access to particularly sensitive reports. These concern military and intelligence operations in Afghanistan and Iran. The contact details of over 2,000 US federal and local agents were allegedly divulged. The young man even admitted passing on to WikiLeaks a great deal of information obtained illegally. What's more, all calls from James Clapper's phone were reportedly forwarded to the Free Palestine movement. Nevertheless, the motivations of these young people remain a mystery. What could have been going through their minds? To what struggle do they really belong? Generally speaking, Kane Gamble's principles remains unclear. However, we do have some information to share with you. Through an anonymous Twitter account, the young man answered the journalist's questions. He claims to have done all this in response to a corrupt and insensitive American government. By analyzing his communications, the investigators were able to reconstruct a form of motivation. In the course of his exchanges, he spoke of his desire to fight against the killing of innocent civilians around the world, perpetuated by the United States. The top brass would therefore be responsible for this carnage. In this way, he wished to show his support for the Palestinian people. In February of 2017, Kane Gamble was arrested at the request of the FBI. Before the Old Bailey Criminal Court, he had pleaded guilty to a dozen breaches of computer security legislation. As you have no doubt gathered, these offenses would have been committed between June 2015 and February 2016. In a very short space of time, Kane Gamble has managed to make quite a mess of things for the US authorities. There are 8 counts of attempting to gain unauthorized access, and 2 counts of unauthorized modification of computer equipment. During the trial, his lawyer, William Harbage, pleaded his client's naivety. He would never have wanted to hurt anyone. In April 2018, in London, he was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment in a detention center for young adults. All his computer equipment was also seized. At his sentencing, he is accompanied by his mother. You're probably thinking that this is a very light sentence for such a scam. The answer is quite simple. Kane Gamble's young age was a major factor in his favor. What's more, he was quick to plead guilty and cooperative with law enforcement. Also, the attack was not financially motivated. For all these reasons, the sentence can be considered light. It's safe to say that Kane Gamble was the world's most wanted young hacker. It's true that the US government did everything in its power to secure his arrest. In their view, an 18-year-old with the ability to mount such a computer attack could not remain at large for long. Would he have continued with his escalating hacking if the authorities hadn't arrested him? What are the weaknesses of government IT systems? What can be done to strengthen the security of government data? Is our society plunged into modern excesses that we can no longer control? What kind of future can we guarantee for future generations? Will computers take control of our governments? Are we heading for a completely computerized society? Don't hesitate to give us your opinion on the subject by leaving us a comment below. We look forward to hearing from you. See you soon on aTech.